Hey everyone, welcome back. This is 6-Path Weeb, and you've just entered the world of epic storytelling and fan-made adventures. Today, we're continuing with part 2 of our fanfic series, What If Naruko Fell from the Heavens? Things are about to get even more intense, so stay tuned. Disclaimer. The content on this channel is intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, let's dive right in. Then, a radiant light filled the room, and the scroll began to levitate gently into the air. As the glow slowly faded, a figure emerged. He was a graceful man adorned in golden robes resembling a ceremonial kimono, with golden white shoulder-length hair tied neatly into a ponytail. He wore sandals, and his expression was serene yet wise, his eyes reflecting knowledge beyond comprehension. Once he appeared, he turned toward Naruko and gently asked, "Greetings. I am the keeper of this ancient wisdom. Did you summon me?" Naruko, hoping to make a positive impression, respectfully bowed and replied, "Why yes, I did. My name is Uzumaki Naruko." The keeper's eyes widened in recognition. "Naruko-sama," he said warmly before offering a deep bow. "The stories were true. You are the final celestial." Blushing modestly, Naruko scratched the back of her head. "Why yeah. Hinako-ne told me just yesterday." Rising, the keeper extended a hand with a calm smile. "Come with me. We will return shortly." Naruko nodded in agreement and gestured for him to lead the way. With a soft nod, the keeper whispered a word under his breath, "Transporto." In an instant, they both vanished. They reappeared in a serene and lush meadow unlike the one where Naruko had previously met Hinako and Kazuki. This one held its own charm and tranquil atmosphere. "My name is Kustos," the man said gently. "I am a guardian angel." Naruko greeted him with a smile. "Nice to meet you, Kustos. You probably already know who I am." "Yes," he confirmed with a nod. "You are the last celestial of Earth. Celestia Namikaze Uzumaki Naruko." Naruko gave a quiet nod. "Right. And since I opened the scroll and summoned you." Kustos chuckled softly, a bit embarrassed. "Forgive me. Yes, I will be your instructor." "Really? In what?" Naruko asked eagerly. "Calmly now," Kustos said with a gentle laugh. "Let's start with something familiar. You know about clones, correct?" "Oh no. I left mine back at the clearing." "Then why don't you dispel them from here?" Naruko was about to dispel them all at once but recalled Hinako-ne's advice to do so in small groups. She began dispersing them in sets of 3, and with each release, a stream of information flowed back to her, tinged with slight discomfort. "I see that Hinako-sama has taught you well," Kustos commented. "And I'm quite impressed with how you're managing the influx of information." Once all the clones had been dispelled, Naruko paused briefly to let the knowledge settle. She then looked up and nodded to Kustos. "I'm ready." "Good. Now, I want you to make as many clones as you can without exhausting yourself." Naruko formed the hand sign and declared, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." A puff of smoke filled the air, and as it cleared, 70 clones stood beside her. Kustos clapped in amazement. "Incredible. Now, I want you to assign these tasks. 20 will practice tree walking, another 20 water walking, 20 more leaf balancing, and the final 10 will read these books." He pulled several books from behind his back and handed them to the clones. The topics ranged from strategy, chakra basics, seals, and spells, to Latin, cooking, and herbs. Each clone received their assignment with a nod and went to work diligently. Kustos turned back to Naruko. "Now, let's begin the basic 3, though we'll be approaching them a bit differently. The first technique is similar to the Henge no Jutsu, but more advanced. It's called Mutatio Ars, Voltisamo Veo, or Transformation Arts, Shape, Shift." "That means shapeshift, right?" Naruko asked. "Correct. Your skill with languages is improving," Kustos praised. "This technique allows you to transform yourself or an object into a different form. It requires maintaining focus and energy continuously while keeping the image steady in your mind. With time and practice, it becomes very useful." Naruko closed her eyes, gathered energy around her, and imagined Kustos. Then she whispered, "Mutatio Ars, Voltisamo Veo." Her form slowly shifted into Kustos, earning a smile and gentle laughter from the real Kustos. "Well done. Try other transformations." Naruko began changing into different people, objects, and elements of the scenery. "Excellent," Kustos said. "Now, on to the next. This one is based on the body replacement technique. It's called Subpano Rs, or the substitution technique. It lets you switch places with a nearby object or person to avoid an attack or reposition. Naruko listened carefully, then focused on a nearby rock. She expelled energy and said, Subpano Rs. In a burst of smoke, she and the rock swapped places. Impressive, Kustos said with a smile. You're progressing quickly. Now for the final technique, Profession de Sum Sindo, or Art of Body Splitting. This technique creates tangible, fully functional clones. They are made of your energy and can perform tasks independently. The more energy you give them, the longer they last. Naruko nodded and focused, murmuring, Profession de Sum Sindo. 50 clones appeared. Naruko looked a bit weary but stood strong. That's remarkable, Kustos said warmly. You've done a great job today. We'll meet again in 2 days. In the meantime, continue practicing and studying. Keep the books. When you're done, just say, Reverto, and they'll return to me. Naruko bowed deeply. Thank you, Kustos sensei. I promise to practice and learn everything you've taught. I want to make you proud. Kustos walked over, gently tousled her hair, and said, I already am. As he began to fade, he smiled and added, if you continue to improve, I'll teach you even more. Sayonara, Naruko. With that, he vanished. Time skip, a few hours later. Naruko sat peacefully after her training, pleased with her progress. She had mastered the shape-shift technique and could now perform it with just 2 words. Her skills with object transformation were growing rapidly as well. Her substitution technique had improved significantly. While she still needed to say the spell aloud, she could switch places with a leaf nearly instantly. Her clone technique was nearly perfected, capable of creating up to 300 clones with minimal effort. She often assigned them different training or learning tasks. Her chakra control had vastly improved too. She could walk on trees and water easily, and her meditation practice had enhanced her concentration. During meditation, she could now lift leaves using only her focus, an exercise that refined her precision and would benefit her future techniques, especially in illusion and healing arts. After whispering Reverto, the books returned to Kustos, and Naruko made her way home. She dispelled her clones in sets of 3, carefully absorbing the new knowledge. Content and fulfilled, she entered her apartment, laid down, and reflected on all she had accomplished. As she drifted off to sleep with a peaceful smile, a warm and comforting voice echoed softly in the quiet of the night. I will always protect you. My child. In Naruko's mind, Hinako was smiling gently, and Kazuki stood beside her. She is doing well, Hinako said warmly. Yes, I agree, Hinako-sama. She has great potential, Kazuki responded with a nod. Indeed, she does, Kazuki. Now, all we can do is support her and trust in the path she chooses. With that, Hinako softly faded from view, leaving Kazuki, or the Kyuubi, alone within Naruko's mindscape, which had now transformed into a peaceful, green forest. It was another bright morning as Namikaze Uzumaki Naruko woke up. Sunlight streamed warmly through her windows, and birdsong filled the quiet of her small apartment. Stretching gently, she rubbed the sleep from her eyes and glanced at the alarm clock. 6:30 a.m. She let out a soft sigh and began her morning routine. Still drowsy, she made her way to the bathroom and turned on the shower. The cold water startled her at first, but soon it became refreshing. Naruko lathered her golden hair with shampoo, then cleansed her skin with care. After rinsing off and drying herself, she stepped into her room and looked into the mirror. Her reflection showed golden blonde hair and lightly tanned skin. Thinking of her goals for the day, she pulled out a blue shirt adorned with her favorite spiral emblem, black shorts that reached just past her knees, and a comfortable pair of shoes. Before leaving, she tucked a small scroll into her pocket and opened the door, murmuring, I should head to the market. Outside, the village was waking up. People filled the marketplace, chatting and shopping. As Naruko walked through the crowd, she noticed the same cold stares and disapproving glances she'd grown used to. Some whispered unkind words, and she heard murmurs of that girl. But she didn't understand why. She had never caused harm or wished anyone ill. Shaking her head to clear the thoughts, she walked into a small clothing shop, hoping to find something useful. Inside, the shop owner approached her with a forced smile. See anything you like? Naruko immediately sensed the disingenuous tone. Over time, she had developed an ability to read people well. Choosing to mirror his demeanor, she returned the smile politely. No, thank you. I'm just looking around. The man gritted his teeth behind the smile but said, I have something that might suit you. Care to see it? Though cautious, Naruko nodded and followed him. He led her to a bright orange outfit. This is one of our best. Naruko blinked and thought silently, that's really not my style. I think I'll pass. Thank you anyway. She turned to leave but overheard the muttered words, that strange girl. Clenching her fists, Naruko kept walking. Nobody here really wants to sell to me. Maybe I should try something else. With that thought, she slipped into an alleyway and whispered, Vultus. Amoveo. Her appearance changed, now she had brown spiky hair, but she kept her clothes the same. Re-entering the same store in disguise, she was surprised to see the shopkeeper's attitude shift completely. His expression was kind, his smile genuine. Looking for something in particular? Naruko shook her head politely. And no, thank you. This time, the interaction felt warm. She browsed calmly and eventually picked out 3 shirts in black, red, and blue, along with 3 pairs of pants and some socks and undergarments. As she paid, the cashier smiled and said, Thank you. Please come again. Naruko smiled back warmly. So, it's not that everyone's unkind. They just don't know me. She returned to an alleyway and summoned 2 clones. Please take these back to the apartment, she instructed one. To the other, she said, Follow me. The clones nodded, disguising themselves in new appearances. One took the bags home, while the other followed Naruko into a nearby grocery store. Together, they shopped for breakfast items, eggs, milk, bread, bananas, and her favorite ramen. After checking everything twice, Naruko handed the groceries to the clone. Take these home, please. And tidy up while you're there. With a gentle nod, the clone dashed away. Naruko made her way to a secluded clearing where she trained. It was peaceful and quiet, the perfect place to focus. Profesha de sum sindo, she whispered, and 70 shadow clones appeared. She smiled. 20 of you, practice tree walking. Another 20, work on water walking. 20 more, meditate and balance leaves. The rest, disguise yourselves and head to the library. Study the basics, chakra, cooking, anything simple and useful. As her clones departed on their tasks, Naruko walked to her hidden training meadow. Nestled inside a cave, the secret clearing was her sanctuary. Sunlight filtered in through cracks in the cave ceiling, and a gentle breeze danced across the grass. She sat cross-legged and took out a small scroll from her pocket. It was her father's, a treasured heirloom. I'll make you proud, Dad. I promise. Unrolling the scroll, she read the elegant script. This scroll belongs to the Namikaze clan. Only those with a worthy spirit may unlock its secrets. Place a drop of blood within the circle to begin. Naruko hesitated, then gently pricked her finger and let a single drop touch the seal. The scroll glowed softly, and new text formed. To the reader of this scroll, Celestia Namikaze Uzumaki Naruko. A technique appeared before her eyes. Dash. The voice of the wind. Allows the user to form a connection with the wind, communicating and learning from it. As the user grows, so does the bond. The first step is to sit quietly and listen. Dash. Naruko sat in stillness. At first, there was only silence, but then, something stirred. I am the voice of the wind. You must be a Namikaze child. Naruko smiled softly. Yes. My name is Naruko. I accept you. I will guide you, little one. Her heart felt full. As the voice faded gently, she resumed reading the scroll. Dash. Blade of wind. A precise wind-based technique forming an invisible blade at the fingertips. It can slice with incredible accuracy and force. Dash. Naruko focused her energy into her fingers and whispered, Blade of wind. A sharp gust formed, slicing cleanly through a distant branch. She grinned. That's amazing. Next was. Dash. Wind release, great breakthrough. A powerful gust that can vary in intensity, capable of moving large objects when properly focused. Dash. Naruko tried the technique but only managed a light breeze. I'll keep practicing, she resolved. Then she read. Dash. Wind release, body flicker. A technique for high-speed movement. With proper chakra control, the user can vanish and reappear at another point, seemingly instantaneously. Dash. Naruko visualized a spot nearby, channeled her chakra, and disappeared in a soft gust, reappearing exactly where she intended. Excited, she created 3 clones and had them practice the new techniques. Then she unsealed her mother's scroll. As she did, A small note with the word Appario appeared. She whispered the word, and two shimmering figures appeared in a swirl of wind. One was a woman with vibrant red hair and a soft pink robe. The other was her gentle friend, Hinako. Hinako stepped forward, smiling warmly. Naruko-chan, this is your mother. Kushina Uzumaki. Meanwhile, at the village library, the disguised clones were studying. One read a book on cooking, another studied herbs, while others explored chakra theory and basic strategies. One of the clones, distracted, accidentally bumped into a pink-haired girl. Ouch. I'm sorry, he said quickly, rubbing his head. The girl looked up, a little flustered, and accepted his outstretched hand. It's okay. My name's Sakura. The boy blinked. Oh. I can't tell her I'm Naruko's clone. I'm Riku, he said with a nervous smile. Nice to meet you, Riku-kun, she said shyly. What are you doing here? Just looking for something fun to read, he replied. She lit up. I know something you'll like. Come on. Before he could answer, she grabbed his hand and led him off toward the shelves. Back to the real Naruko. What? Naruko said, unsure of how to respond. But before she could gather her thoughts, her mother stepped forward and embraced her warmly. Naruko froze for a moment, overwhelmed by the sudden emotion. Mother? Kushina continued holding her gently, not too tightly, just enough to offer comfort. Slowly, Naruko began to relax, and tears welled up in her eyes. Mom, she whispered, her voice trembling. Kushina only hugged her closer, softly rubbing her back and whispering soothing words in her ear. It was a moment of pure affection, and Hinako stood nearby with a warm smile, quietly allowing them their time together. After a few quiet minutes, mother and daughter slowly parted, though Naruko still clung to her mother's hand as if it were a lifeline. So now, Kushina said softly, it's time you knew the truth. Back at the library. Sakura had led a clone of Naruko to a section labeled Konoha's Heroes. As she scanned the shelves, she pulled out a book but didn't let go of Naruko's hand. Noticing this, Naruko tilted her head curiously. Are you going to let go now? She asked. Sakura blinked and gasped, suddenly realizing what she was doing. She quickly let go, her cheeks flushing pink. Naruko looked confused and asked, Are you not feeling well? Sakura shook her head quickly, trying to hide her embarrassment. Then, remembering the reason they were there, she opened the book and said, So, Naruko-chan, look at this. Naruko blinked at the use of chan, not used to the gentle suffix, and then turned her attention to the page Sakura was pointing at. It was titled The Legendary Sannin. Sakura pointed to one of the figures pictured on the page. Who's that? Naruko asked curiously. You don't know Tsunade-sama? Sakura gasped, clearly surprised. Naruko tried to recall the name but came up empty. And no. She admitted. Before she could say more, Sakura eagerly launched into an explanation, her voice animated with excitement as she talked about the legendary kunoichi. Naruko rubbed her eyes gently with one hand, then turned toward Hinako with a puzzled expression. What truth? Let your mother explain, dear, Hinako said kindly. Naruko looked back at her mother, who had just finished brushing away her own tears. Kushina took a steady breath before speaking. Naru-chan, I know you already have an idea of who I am, but let me tell you again. I am your mother, Kushina Uzumaki. You might feel like you're still young to hear all of this, but I believe you're ready. You see, as I wrote in the letter, I'm something a bit different now. I've become a guardian spirit. In my past, I was a kunoichi of Kanahagakur, the hidden leaf village. But I originally came from Uzushiogakur, the village hidden in the whirling tides. And before that, I carried a great responsibility. I was once entrusted with the spirit of the nine-tailed fox. What? Naruko asked, her voice filled with curiosity. You see, Hinako began gently, before the fall of Uzushiogakur, the elders decided to send me to Konoha to become the next guardian of the nine-tailed fox spirit. I had a strong chakra and a deep well of willpower, traits that made me suitable for the role. The previous guardian was Mita Uzumaki, a distant relative of mine. She was the wife of the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and she used a special sealing technique from our clan to contain the fox spirit within herself. At first, I was frightened. Becoming the second person to carry such a powerful spirit was overwhelming. But Mito was kind and wise, she comforted me. She told me something I never forgot, only love can calm the fox spirit's anger. Mito was not only a powerful kunoichi but also someone with great emotional strength. Her granddaughter was Tsunade, whom you know. Hinako's voice softened. Eventually, I adapted to the fox spirit's presence. I returned to Uzushiogakur, but over time, the village's popularity attracted unwanted attention. The people of our village were known for living long lives, and we were famous for our sealing techniques. That reputation made us a target. Though our home was lost, some of us survived and moved to Konoha, where we were welcomed with open arms. She paused before continuing. Uzushiogakur and Konoha had a strong bond, due to the connection between the Uzumaki and Senju clans. That's why Konoha's uniforms bear our clan symbol, to honor that friendship. Hinako smiled. I stayed in Konoha and eventually met your father. At first, I thought he was too quiet and even a little clumsy. But over time, he showed incredible strength and cleverness. One day, when I was taken by enemy shinobi because of my powerful chakra, I left strands of my red hair behind as clues. Of all the ninja, only your father recognized the message and saved me. Afterward, he told me he noticed my hair because it was beautiful. That moment changed everything for me. I started to appreciate my unique features and I began to care for him. She glanced at Naruko warmly. As time passed, we faced more challenges. There was a moment when someone tried to take the fox spirit from me. I became very weak, and it was almost too much to bear. But your father returned just in time, and with help from those who cared, I was saved. Naruko listened closely, eyes wide with emotion. Hinako nodded. Your mother grew even stronger and became famous for her skills and her vibrant presence. Eventually, she married your father, and the two of them chose a name for their child, Naruko, based on a character from Jiraiya's first book. When he asked if they were sure, your mother smiled and said the name was lovely. Kushina then picked up the story. Yes, Mikoto Uchiha was one of my closest friends. She was overjoyed when she found out I was expecting a child, especially since she was also pregnant. Hinako continued, when the time came for your birth, precautions were taken to ensure your safety. Even though the fox spirit was no longer sealed in your mother, its lingering energy still needed to be managed. So your birth took place in a secret location outside the village, with trusted midwives and Anbu guards. However, she said softly, things didn't go as planned. Someone tried to interfere, but, thanks to the quick thinking of your father and the strength of your mother, you were kept safe. Your father returned to protect you both. Your mother's chakra was used to strengthen the seal so that the fox spirit's power wouldn't be misused. It was her final gift to you, Naruko. That's also why the third Hokage gave you the Uzumaki name, to honor your heritage and protect your connection to your parents. Naruko's heart ached as she listened. She felt a mixture of emotions, sadness for the hardships her parents faced, gratitude for the love they gave, and confusion about the world they came from. Kushina embraced her daughter. No matter what happens, she said, I will always be with you. Naruko, trying not to cry, wiped her eyes and hugged her mother tightly. So this is what a mother's hug feels like. Kushina whispered, the Nine Tails was on a rampage. Your father and I made a plan to protect the village and to give you the best chance in life. Your father transported the fox spirit away from the village to prevent harm. Then he met me, and we held it in place together. He used a powerful sealing technique to contain the fox spirit inside you, Naruko, believing you would grow up to use its power for good. She looked lovingly at her daughter. He split its chakra into two parts. One was sealed within you, using my chakra, and the other he sealed within himself so no one else could reach it. He hoped that one day you would find strength not just from the fox spirit's power, but from the love we gave you. Naruko's tears flowed freely now. Why, you really loved me? Of course we did, Kushina said, gently stroking Naruko's hair. More than anything in this world. Will you stay with me now? Naruko asked softly. I wish I could, Kushina replied, her voice warm but tinged with sadness. But our time is short. Naruko sniffled, promise you'll come back? Kushina smiled and kissed her daughter's forehead. Promise. Then she playfully added, but if I ever hear of anyone being unkind to you, I'll come rushing back. Hinako stepped forward. It's time to go now, Naruko. Naruko pouted a little, then nodded slowly. Okay. She was wrapped in a final embrace by both Kushina and Hinako. As they faded, they spoke softly. Remember, we love you. Be strong, Naru-chan. We'll always be with you. As the space around her quieted, Naruko wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. She stood tall, her heart filled with determination. I'll train hard, she whispered, then looked at a nearby scroll detailing her clan's history. Only a few words were visible. Dash. Soon, Naruko, soon you will understand. For now, train hard and be your best. I love you. Your mother, Kushina Uzumaki. P.S. Remember to brush your teeth every day. Dash. Naruko turned red with embarrassment. Mom. She muttered, chuckling a little through her sniffles. Then she faced forward, full of resolve. I will make you proud. Believe it. Back at the library. The clone of Naruko, having grown a bit weary of Sakura's passionate admiration for Tsunade-sama, gently said, I'm sorry, but I have to go now. Sakura, visibly disappointed, asked softly, will I see you again? The clone gave her a warm, reassuring smile as she stood up. Of course you will. As she walked past Sakura on her way out, she leaned in and whispered, my real name's Naruko, and I don't actually look like this. I trust you to keep my secret, Sakura-chan. With a gentle smile, she added one last, Sakura-chan, and quietly walked out of the library. Dash. Time skip, hours later. Naruko was feeling completely worn out. She had trained tirelessly, and beyond the physical exhaustion, she was also experiencing a bit of a headache after accidentally dispelling 10 clones at once, which caused a flood of information to return all at once. Still, she managed to make it home, limping slightly, and after settling into her bed, she quickly drifted off into a peaceful sleep. Dash. The next morning. The sun peeked out once again, though it was a little softer than the day before. Naruko woke up feeling determined. As she got dressed and began preparing for the day, her thoughts focused. Just today left. Then Kusto-sensei will review what I've done. I've worked so hard. I want to make everyone proud. Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Hinako-ne, Kazu-ni, Kusto-sensei, Weasel-san, and Snake-san. After a healthy breakfast and a few calming breaths, she stepped outside, excitement fluttering in her chest. Today she would test her new technique, one she had developed from combining the shapeshifting technique with her unique heritage. Unlike regular shapeshifting illusions, hers had reached a point where it became real, tangible. She had learned to merge with the air itself. She whispered calmly, Elementum mutatio, air, elemental transformation, air. Her form slowly faded, becoming one with the air, silent, unseen, and light as the breeze. She gently floated to a secret clearing and after making sure no one was around, she whispered, Ricaligo quad ostendo sum, gather and return, returning to her physical form. Then training resumed. She sent 20 clones to the library in disguised forms, and 60 more continued practicing meditation and energy control techniques. Dash. Time skip, later. Naruko beamed with pride. Her efforts were paying off, and she was doing all this for the people she cared about. As the day wound down, she returned home, adjusted her alarm clock to 8 o'clock, and settled in for some well-deserved rest. I can't wait to show Kusto-sensei what I've accomplished. She thought joyfully before sleep gently embraced her, the soft breeze brushing past her as if in encouragement. Dash. The next morning. Naruko woke up right on time, thanks to her alarm clock. After turning it off, she stretched, tidied up her bed, and began her morning routine, brushing her teeth, taking a refreshing shower, and enjoying a balanced breakfast of toast, scrambled eggs, cereal, water, and 2 bananas. She then brushed her teeth again and turned to her wardrobe with a satisfied smile. Dash. Flashback. A clone of Naruko had just completed her tasks at the library when she spotted a shop, Higurashi's Shinobi store. Curious, she walked in. The small bell above the door chimed, and an older man stepped out to greet her. Welcome, welcome, he said cheerfully. Looking for something specific? Naruko, in her disguised form, nodded. Well. She shared her list of items, looking more like a 12-year-old than her actual younger self. The old man looked her over and said kindly, I think we have what you need. As he motioned for her to follow, he added, you don't need to hide who you are, you know. Naruko blinked in surprise. How did you know? He chuckled warmly. I knew your father. He used to do something similar now and then. Naruko was speechless. He knew my dad? She sighed, whispered Eximo, release, and returned to her usual form. I'm just a clone. The real me is training right now. This time, it was the old man's turn to be surprised. You're very young. Naruko laughed gently. Yes, I am. The man nodded, smiling again as he returned to a relaxed posture. Let's get your measurements, shall we? He held out his hand, and Naruko took it, giving a small nod. Later, with his help, she picked out an amazing outfit, a black hooded cloak made for stealth and flexibility, fingerless gloves, shinobi sandals, mid-knee shorts, and a short-sleeved shirt. Everything was designed for ease of movement and durability. After paying, the clone Naruko cheerfully said, "Thanks, Oji-san." The kind old man ruffled her hair and smiled. "Make sure to tell your friends to visit here, little one." Naruko gave a happy nod, took her shopping bags, and called out, "Arigato." As she ran off carefully, excitement written across her face. Flashback end. Naruko, now dressed in her new outfit, smiled in satisfaction and used the body flicker technique to teleport to her training spot. A light gust of wind followed her exit. She reappeared in the clearing and said clearly, "Appario, appear." A glow of light formed, and Kustos appeared once again. "Are you ready?" the wise figure asked. Naruko stood tall, her expression confident. "Yes," she said. "I'm ready." Naruko had just completed a productive training session with Kustos-sensei. After carefully evaluating her progress, Kustos was genuinely impressed with his student's latest accomplishments. Her physical training had gone exceptionally well. Her stamina, strength, endurance, speed, and stealth had all shown remarkable improvement. Though she was only 5 years old, her potential was already evident. There was still much to refine, but she was making steady and impressive strides. The shadow clones she had sent to the library had been a huge help in expanding her knowledge. Through them, she had not only learned new subjects but also discovered a new friend, knowledge of whom returned to her when one of the clones dispersed. Currently, Naruko was studying strategy and planning, plant science, human anatomy, and basic medical knowledge. Additionally, she had taken an interest in learning how to cook, a skill she was excited to develop further. Though she still had a lot to learn, her thirst for knowledge was undeniable. Kustos, proud once again, asked Naruko to demonstrate the techniques he had taught her. Eagerly, she agreed. First, she demonstrated the mutatio ars, voltisamo veo, transformation arts, shape, shift. Naruko had fully mastered this technique. She explained to Kustos the potential she believed it held. She no longer needed to speak or form hand signs, a single thought was enough to initiate the transformation. There were no clouds of smoke or loud noises, her body shifted gracefully, almost like an illusion. Within a second, the transformation was complete. This ability was no longer a mere illusion, it was a full transformation of her physical form. Naruko could change into any form she desired, human, animal, or object. The transformation included appearance, body structure, and voice if applicable, though it didn't grant her the abilities or memories of the form she took. She could also use this technique on others, whether they were people, animals, or even plants, and with only a thought, she could transform them too. Next, Naruko showed the subpano ars, substitution technique. While she hadn't fully mastered this technique yet, she could use it with skill and efficiency. She could switch positions with another object or even a person within a mile, using just a word and within a second. While she couldn't yet substitute with very large objects, such as buildings, due to the energy strain, she had still made significant progress. Naruko had also modified the standard version of this technique. Usually, a puff of smoke would appear during substitution, creating a moment of visual confusion. Naruko, however, had expanded on this idea. She could now generate larger smoke clouds or switch the effect to other harmless distractions, such as sleep-inducing mist or scent-based diversions. She crafted these variations herself using knowledge from her botany studies. Kustos noted that true mastery of this technique would allow substitution with targets up to 10 miles away. While Naruko wasn't there yet, Kustos expressed confidence that with dedication, she would reach that level. Then came the final technique, the Profecia de Sum Sindo, art of body splitting. Like the transformation technique, Naruko had mastered this as well. She could summon 1,000 perfect clones without losing consciousness, thanks to her strong stamina and impressive energy reserves. She knew she could one day summon even more with ease. These clones were different from the basic shadow clones most ninja used. Instead of disappearing after a single strike, they were durable and capable of independent thought, though still extensions of Naruko. They didn't possess the same enhanced resilience Naruko had, but they could make decisions on their own, allowing them to act strategically even when Naruko wasn't directly controlling them. Naruko demonstrated that she could create clones instantly and silently. Rather than appearing in a puff of smoke, these clones seemed to fade into reality, making them especially effective. Kustos was deeply impressed by her skill and praised her commitment. He explained that true mastery of this technique would allow Naruko to share the senses of her clones, sight, sound, smell, and even a form of intuitive awareness. The connection would allow Naruko to experience the world through all her clones simultaneously, greatly enhancing her strategic advantage. Kustos reassured her that this technique was uniquely hers to wield. Only a select few, such as certain magic-using guardians, could replicate it, so Naruko's abilities were well protected. After offering more praise, Kustos asked Naruko to demonstrate any additional abilities she had developed on her own. She happily obliged, showcasing wind-based techniques inherited from her father's side of the family. She performed the Blade of Wind, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough, and the Wind-style Body Flicker technique. Naruko could form the Blade of Wind from her fingertips or palms and slice through sturdy targets such as tree trunks with ease. She was still practicing to use the technique from her feet. Her Great Breakthrough had grown more powerful, capable of creating strong gusts of wind, though she still needed to use hand signs to perform it and continued to train hard. Her wind-style body flicker technique had become seamless. She no longer needed hand signs and could move across distances up to 5 miles almost instantly, with her range steadily increasing. Naruko also shared her ongoing training with her unique bloodline ability, the Voice of the Wind, which she practiced consistently to master. Pleased with her progress, Kustos decided to teach her 3 new techniques, carefully explaining each one and how to use them effectively. He also asked if the chakra control exercises had been useful. Naruko, ever enthusiastic, told him she had already mastered the leaf balancing, tree walking, and water walking exercises. Impressed but not surprised, Kustos introduced a new training challenge, the leaf concentration exercise. Similar to leaf balancing, this technique focused on sharpening concentration and mental discipline. The goal was to place a leaf on one's forehead and maintain chakra control without letting outside distractions interfere. Naruko took the lesson seriously. Once Kustos had finished teaching and left, she returned to her training, full of determination to keep improving. It had been a long day, and Naruko was finally done with her training. The sky was already dark, and the full moon glowed gently above. The streets were quiet, and hardly anyone was around. As Naruko walked down a quiet path, she noticed a shadowy figure running ahead. Her sharp eyes caught sight of a large bag the person was carrying. Something didn't feel right. What's that? Why is someone running with a bag like that at night? She thought, her instincts kicking in. Without hesitation, Naruko sprinted toward the figure. As she ran, she whispered, "Misero," the technique her mentor Kustos had taught her. The man suddenly slowed down, his energy dropping, and he dropped the bag. Naruko rushed over and opened it, revealing a young girl around her own age, curled up and scared. Naruko gently helped her out, and the girl quickly moved behind her for safety. Thank you," the girl whispered. Naruko gave a warm nod in return and was about to leave the scene when she heard the figure say in a threatening tone, "You'd better hand over the girl, or else." Naruko's heart jumped. A memory came rushing back. Flashback tilde. Kustos stood calmly in a clearing, explaining the first technique of the day. Misero, he said, is a technique that draws from your inner strength and emotions. When used properly, it weakens the opponent by surrounding them in a wave of focused willpower. The more determined you are, the stronger the effect. He demonstrated the technique on a training dummy. It flinched and dropped to its knees. This skill doesn't cause harm, he continued, but it can stop someone long enough for you to protect others or escape. It works best when fueled by strong emotions, like courage or the desire to protect someone. Naruko nodded with focus, determined to master it. End flashback. I'm only 5, Naruko thought, but I won't let her get hurt. Taking a deep breath, she summoned all her will and shouted, "Misero." The figure froze again, stumbling from the invisible force. Naruko took the girl's hand and dashed down the road as fast as she could. But the figure wasn't done. He recovered and shouted in frustration, forming quick hand seals. Lightning release, thunder barrage. The skies above darkened as energy gathered. Naruko braced herself. "Contigo," she cried, and a brilliant shield of light formed around the 2 girls just in time. A bolt of lightning struck the shield, but it held firm, protecting them both. The energy dispersed harmlessly. The man, now clearly identified as a shinobi from the Cloud Village by his headband, seemed startled by Naruko's abilities. His shock turned to anger as he began preparing another technique. Naruko didn't wait. "Misero," she called again, stalling him. Then, channeling her training, she prepared to defend herself. Flashback tilde. This next technique is called Contigo, Kustos explained. It forms a protective barrier using your life energy and will. It's especially useful in dangerous moments. He raised a hand, chanted the word, and a glowing dome of light surrounded him. It's strong enough to protect you and anyone with you, he added. But remember, it's powered by your focus and heart. Dash. End flashback. The Cloud Ninja ran toward Naruko for close combat. Despite her age, Naruko used her smaller size to dodge his movements. I can do this, she thought. As he swung, Naruko evaded quickly and whispered, Masero. The man staggered once more, and Naruko gave a quick punch, knocking him backward into a nearby tree. The opponent recovered and began preparing another energy-based technique, his hands moving in practice speed. Naruko gathered her strength. Wind release, great breakthrough. A strong gust of wind surged forward, catching the ninja off guard. As he was swept away by the force, Naruko added another Masero. To keep him weakened. The gust carried him into the trees where he was momentarily stunned. Naruko rushed to the little girl and softly said, Sano. A gentle white light surrounded the girl, and she gasped in wonder as her energy returned. She smiled brightly, the fear gone from her face. She stood a little taller now, courage shining in her eyes. Naruko smiled back, remembering Kustos's words. Dash. Flashback tilde. Sano is a healing technique, Kustos explained. It draws from your energy and kindness to help others feel better, both physically and emotionally. As the healing energy glowed around the practice dummy, it shimmered and stood straighter. Sometimes, just knowing someone cares enough to protect and help you is the strongest magic there is. Dash. End flashback. Naruko turned toward the road, the little girl holding her hand tightly now, both of them safe under the full moon. Let's get you home, Naruko said with a smile, and together, they walked away, confident, brave, and full of light. Flashback tilde. Now Naruko, this is the final technique I will teach you, Sano, the healing art. This technique uses one's life energy to restore health. It requires focus and refined energy control to perform properly. I already believe you're ready, as your control and strength are more than sufficient. It's a very helpful technique and doesn't take too much energy if used correctly. It not only heals physical injuries but can also neutralize toxins and improve overall wellness. Its most impressive ability is to completely refresh the body, leaving the person feeling even better than before. Once you've truly mastered it, it can heal nearly everything, aside from the natural passage of time. Flashback end tilde. Are you all right? Naruko asked kindly, offering her hand. The girl took it, clearly flustered as she tried, unsuccessfully, to hide a blush. You thank you. Hinata. Naruko smiled warmly. Nice to meet you, I'm Naruko. Hinata gave a small nod, still shy. Suddenly, a figure landed beside her with urgency. Hinata. Are you okay? I'm okay, father. And Naruko helped me. Her father, Hyashi, turned to the girl standing calmly beside Hinata. Then Naruko pointed toward a nearby figure on the ground. The person who tried to take her is over there. Hyashi's gaze followed her direction and widened in surprise when he saw the subdued figure. He looked back at Naruko, a bit stunned. Why you stopped him? Naruko simply nodded. Hyashi sighed and walked over to the man, lifting him over his back. Then, gently placing a hand on Hinata's shoulder, he turned to Naruko and said, We're bringing him to Hokage-sama. Come with us. Naruko nodded in understanding and placed her hand on Hyashi's free one. In the next moment, all four vanished in a swirl of leaves. Dash. At the Hokage's office. The Hokage was, as usual, surrounded by towering stacks of paperwork. With a tired sigh, he rubbed his temples. Suddenly, four figures appeared before him in a swirl of leaves, clearly a shunshine technique. The Hokage stood in alarm, readying himself in case of danger, but relaxed when he recognized the group. Hyashi. And Naruko? What brings you here? Hyashi gently laid the subdued figure down, bowed respectfully, and explained, Hokage-sama, this person attempted to take my daughter. Naruko noticed what was happening and intervened. She held him off until I arrived. The Hokage's eyes widened in astonishment. And Naruko? Yes, Gigi, Naruko said cheerfully. I was heading home when I saw this suspicious person carrying a large bag. I had a feeling something wasn't right, so I stepped in. He kept trying to catch me, but I just kept dodging and moving around. Then I used a technique I saw once. I shouldn't tell Gigi everything just yet. she thought. The Hokage raised a brow, clearly unsure if he believed the entire tale, but said nothing. I'll speak with her privately later. Thank you, Hiashi. I'll make sure this situation is handled properly. Ibiki will question him further. He walked over and gently turned the man's head to examine him. His eyes widened in recognition, and his expression darkened slightly. This is that Kumo representative, he said in a low voice. I'll ensure this is handled with care. Hiashi gave a respectful nod. I trust you will. I'll be heading out now. Come, Hinata. Why yes, father. The Hokage nodded once again as Hiashi and Hinata vanished in a swirl of leaves. Then he turned to Naruko. We need to have a little chat. Naruko blinked and gave a nervous smile. Okay. That's a wrap for now, everyone. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, it really helps a lot. Thanks for watching. With appreciation. 6 Path Weeb.